Hello, everybody, and welcome to DM Writer's Room, a show where we demystify the DMing process by coming up with monsters, magic items, and all kinds of things live with you. A show born out of our frustration with the fact that so much GMing and DMing advice online boiled down to write it down, put monster in. Basically, people would give advice that they came up with as an end step. They would be like, put a handful of rice on a paper to make a map. And it's like, yeah, how do you know what to put on the map? How do you know where the cities go? Where does a mountain go? And I was getting real bent out of shape about it. So we decided to make a show where we come up with dumb bullshit alive with you. We come up with great ideas. We throw out ideas. Something that you will no doubt, if you are a longtime viewer, be used to, which I think is maybe the most important part of the whole show, is we will often come up with an idea in DM Writer's Room. And then 60% of the way through the hour and a half of labor, we'll go, guys, this sucks. We have to start over. And we will scrap pretty much everything we've done and rewind 45 minutes. Because being able to go, I don't think it's working, let's start over, is, in my opinion, the most important ability for a DM or GM or keeper of monsters and mysteries to have. Today we're delving into...
And it's always worth it.
And it's always worth it. Today we are delving into one of my favorite versions of this stream. We are making a sort of monstrous menagerie. Something that we all find very frustrating is when you flip open a monster manual to goblins, and it has goblin and goblin boss. And you're like, super cool. Kind of hard to make a dynamic encounter with two guys. So it's a bunch of identical goblins and then one guy who's a boss. Not exactly ideal. Especially when you start dealing with like a basilisk. And the basilisk is just like a CR3 creature. And I'm like, so do they just fight like 3 of these things? Because if they fight one creature, they're just going to win right away. Why is there only one? There's no other fun thing? Go.
If I can say one thing, I think one of the best examples for what I wish D&D would do is Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter does an amazing job with here's this basilisk, here's this monster, and then in like 20 levels away, like here's the same creature, but 5 times harder. It's all different. It has different abilities, but still the same thing. Different palettes or color palettes, like it's perfect.
And it opens up the possibility of fighting the big one and 2 small ones, and it just gives you those steps you need. And maybe even there's one that's made to fight you in melee and one made to fight you in ranged, and you're like, whoa, we're cooking with gas now. So each of us, I'm sure, has come up with an idea that we're going to pitch, and then at the end of it, we are going to get to work on our monstrous menagerie, our wandering band. We're going to figure out a couple of different challenge ratings worth. So usually we make 3 to 5. I'm going to start with my pitch because I came up with it 45 seconds ago and I like it, and you're both going to immediately know where it came from. My pitch is a court of monsters. These are lawful aligned creatures that literally are like hierarchically structured. Maybe my first thought was like angels of law that have accidentally ended up on the mortal plane and are laying accusations and holding trials for like people who step on bugs. Like they're not meant to be in the primaterial plane, and so are like, you have committed murder. And it's a guy who swatted a mosquito, and he's like, what? So yeah, mine is a court of monsters, literally a court proceeding overseen by a group of monsters, and I'm imagining like judge, barrister, witness, etc. Who's up next?
I'll go, mostly because it's funny because my idea is the same idea that I had last time we did this, because I want to do mine. It's funny because it's similar to yours even. It's also a court, but it's the Court of Mimics.
Oh yeah, the Royal Court of Mimic.
Yep.
Fun. Mine is I feel like I get annoyed that when I fight dragons, it's always a young dragon, an adult dragon, an ancient dragon. First of all, I don't want to kill a baby dragon when I'm level 8, and that's the thing that I can fight because I'm level 8 now. I feel like there should be like a worm. There's a serpent. There's variations on the size and type of the dragon. Not just, it's small, medium, and big.
Yeah.
There should be different genetic mutations within a red dragon that you can encounter at much lower level. Like a level 3, you're fighting a serpent that has small wings and whips around you. It's not a baby. It's just a different type of dragon. And that's my pitch.
It's adults.
It is an adult.
It's an adult serpent.
Exactly. Totally different.
Something that a lot of things use that I think are really interesting that I don't believe, maybe they've appeared in an earlier edition, I don't think that they have, are hellkites. Technically, I've seen them drawn wrong a lot. Technically, a hellkite is a dragon where its front arms are its wings. So, like, dragons have 6 limbs. They have technically 7 because of their tail. They have front feet, they have back feet, and they have wings. A hellkite's front wings are its feet, like a bat. And they are often presented as, like, a dragon you can ride, like, smaller and more aggressive. So I've pondered this before as well. I think these are all really interesting and cool options.
Yeah, I know there's difference between like dragons, drakes, wyverns, hellkites.
Yeah, wyverns.
Like the list goes on.
I think wyverns are in the same camp as hellkites. I think that they are.
I think so.
I think front wings. I just think wyverns are usually don't fly as much, and hellkites are definitive flyers. All right, so we've got a couple of ideas. Also, I think wyverns are usually venomous. So, a lot of cool ideas kicking around. A lot of underused territory here. How do we want to decide? I like all 3 ideas. I feel like Michael should get a slight edge case. I feel like Michael should have a slightly higher statistical chance because he has brought something that has previously not been selected.
I'm happy with the same odds. I'll just bring it back next time.
Everybody bring out a d20. We're going to do rollies.
I would turn on their side cam.
God, it's so far.
Yep, we've all got that prepared for scene, right?
I have one. I just don't think I can use it.
Yeah.
9. Whoa! 68's Michael.
Okay.
It worked out.
Okay.
For all the viewers out there, 16. It doesn't really pop up that well.
So, mimic court. So we are imagining the patriarchs, the lords of the mimics. We are imagining that these nefarious chests and evil doors, these wicked boot boxes, are actually part of a complicated and hard to parse ecosystem. I have a huge and vital upfront question and a connected thought. Are we imagining this as Grandpappy Mimic, and it's just a mimic but large and complex and in some way different, but is still a like low intelligence trapping beast? Or are we imagining the sentient and intelligent Lord of the Mimics? If it's the sentient and intelligent Lord of the Mimics, the first thought, like a sentence, came into my mind unbidden, which was the Lord of the Mimics was the first one to recreate intelligence. The thought that a mimic, instead of becoming a boot or instead of becoming a chest, recreated the mind of a creature and began to understand that it could do that is like the first inclination I have in my head. Very much the like overly storytelling answer, but I like the thought of a mimic, the first one that can like comprehend that it could recreate gray matter and make a mind for itself and gain the capacity for like really detailed thought. It reminds me of a of all things like a Reddit shitpost from Warhammer 40k about one guy was like, here's my pitch for how orcs are gonna win Warhammer 40k. and it is that someday an orc will die in a way so stupid that when its spores release to make new orcs, they will adapt intelligence, and one of them will be smart enough to understand that if it goes around to all the other orcs and it goes, I am Kuzrash. Kuzrash is smartest being in universe. And if it says it to enough other orcs, it will eventually become the smartest being in the universe. And like UN-Y-verse. And eventually it is this like hyper intelligent, perfectly minded orc. And I just remember the scene they described, which is the very end of it, which is some people think that the reason that the Ultramarines are so unkillable is because all the orcs think the Marines cannot die. Yeah. And so we see, and so they described at the end of this scene of this orc's eyes turning blue. Like, and it's stuck in my mind as I love the idea of like, what if I gave myself big brain? It's something I always think is a really great trope. But I also love the idea that it's just like the roiling chaos first mimic, Primarch of mimics. And it's just like 37 letters and 2 numbers, like a password that your business makes you set.
I like intelligent mimic. And here's what I'm thinking for sort of the ecosystem of the mimic. The primogen of mimics, the one who first becomes sentient, ate enough adventurers, gained enough power and like reserve of energy that it did this. Now, there's probably a handful of other intelligent mimics, all that were placed in insanely high adventurer traffic path. They just got to eat enough that they got strong enough that they gained the sentience. This one was the first one, the king. They then, whether they create the other mimics or the other mimics have been like just spread around the world and they go around gathering them, I think they are the ones who place the mimics in dungeons to give them the chance to gain sentience as well. So these lords of mimics are placing them
so they're like
they can get strong.
They're like an international hive mind of reverse Santa Clauses that put fucked up evil presents everywhere.
Yeah, as like an incubator.
That's fucking hilarious, because you know what I love about that? The fiction of mimics has always been that an evil wizard makes a mimic to trick adventurers who go into their dungeon. I love instead that the wizard is like, what the fuck is that?
Wait a second.
Think up with it there.
What the fuck is that door? What? there's not a door
It's not my door.
And all of them are just like, don't touch that. Why? Just leave it alone. It's not there to hurt you. Just don't touch it and you'll be fine. It's going to help defend the place. Don't even worry about it. So we're imagining the primogen of mimics, which consumed enough to meld itself a mind, and now, like the fucking aliens from the Alien series, goes around planting seeds that grow into mimics. I also love that we're setting up this like cosmic universe in our games where it's like nowhere is the primogen of shadows, and this is the Mimesis, primogen of mimics, is there.
Mimesis is a pretty good name.
I think that the mimics already existed. I think mimics are like a cosmic regularity. They
it's
just
from
exist.
Some god, some dead god.
Well, yeah.
They're around.
And I think if somebody died a vengeful and sad death, there would always have been a shadow until one day nowhere appeared, right? Mm-hmm. One of them gained enough strength to become the primogenitor, the great. So it's like there were always mimics. This is where dangerous mimics come from. This is where
I was thinking Mimesis and his court gather loose mimics.
Yeah. Things
that are already scattered around, and then they bring them to these locations to give them the best chance at evolution as possible.
So then my question is, before Mimesis was born, what was the mimic life cycle? Did they hatch like big clutches of eggs or something that would hatch into mimics that would then spread across the land? And now Mimesis goes around looking for those nesting grounds and will like in a very patronly way, like harvest the eggs to bring somewhere safe where they can be given a better chance for greater success. That's really interesting. So. Like, it's really fun to think of. There's this trope in sci-fi where you elevate a society on a undeveloped planet too fast, and they turn into like marauding raiders because they haven't earned the technology they've grown. I love the idea that Mimesis is doing that to mimics. Maybe not with the same end result. Maybe it'll be positive, but Mimesis is like, I will elevate my people at any cost. And so it's like planting them in sewer systems and all kinds of fucked up places.
And I feel like this would also be the origin of other myths. You know, like Selkies, right? That shit's just a horse mimic in the water. If we're keeping it 100, that's what that is. It's a Kelpie. It's a Selkie. Like, all those things were just wild mimics that weren't becoming treasure chests, because what would that... Nobody's going to walk up to a treasure chest.
They weren't smart enough to turn into what they needed to be.
That wasn't their thing. They become wild things. A tree with a protective bough in a snowstorm, and then it takes them in. Okay, but when they're collected by Mimesis, then they get that intelligence.
So we're making some classes of mimics already. So we're making mimics that turn into other animals. And so I really like that. And that's where we get like the Selkie and a lot of these other myths are. No. It's just mimics that drown you and then eat you. And it's so number one, I'm going to just write animal mimic. Is that the same thing as, I don't think I want it to be, animal mimic and plant mimic?
Different.
Right?
Yeah,
Are they
different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the animal mimic is a higher level than the plant.
Yeah. I know. So here's my question: where does mimic ass treasure chest mimic? Where do they fit in? So they're smarter than the plant and animal mimic, but maybe they don't have that same like raw strength. I kind of like the idea that they lose a little bit of their natural power. It's like when you first learn like judo or whatever, you're a dumb baby for like a year while you're like learning weird new ways.
You would have been better off punching with your fist every time when you're early on.
If you find a random man off the street and you have him fight a white belt, the random guy will win more than he would against another random guy. Because the white belt is like kaka, and the other guy's like slap. Just So I like the idea that animal and plant mimics are dumber, but they aren't as clever. Like, they're more likely to get themselves into stupid situations. The mimic is elevated, but is not as good. So what are some other... So then keep talking. Let's keep rolling. So we like the idea that there's this, like, Kelpie myth, and these other myths can take the place of them, and then we have these standard mimics. What does it feel like is the next rung of the ladder past plants, animals, and inanimate objects? I think one of the high tiers is a mimic that can turn into a person.
Yeah. I'm thinking like a tier up would be like a magical item. It's like something really reaches for.
Oh, so they can, instead of needing to turn into a chest or a door, they can turn into fine things. They can turn into a sword. They can turn into a key. They can compress themselves. I love the idea that they can, like, part of the danger is that they learn how to collapse, how to, like, make their cells smaller so that they can be something that can, like, fit under a door and then grow back big on the other side and, like, pull the... So what is that, like, artisan mimic? Like a mimic that can become something clever and...
I think artisan mimic, and then Michael, you were saying magic items specifically. I think that's the next rung. That would be, they are enchanting themselves in this form. They're actually able to do the thing that the magic item they're representing can do.
I think that this should be the same tier as able to turn into a speaking mobile, because I think that they like shift into a person and start carving runes into themselves to enchant their mimic form. And then when they shift into a sword, it's a magic sword because they've like enchanted themselves.
I feel like the missing link now, when they first become a human, I don't think that they have speech and intelligence in the same way as we think. I think they have an innate magical sense that allows them to carve those runes, but they're like shambling around town, not talking, hyper disturbing to those that see them.
We have plant mimic, animal mimic, mimic, artisan mimic, space, arcane mimic, and we need to find what goes here. What is like... I'm trying to think of another example of something that just impersonates it close enough that you'll follow it. Can they speak at all? Or can they speak enough to say like, help me, please?
Yeah, they can mimic, literally.
So what do we call that? I'm trying to think of example.
Mimic. It almost feels like rogue-esque.
I
was thinking like puppet.
I like puppet mimic or mocking mimic was my other one.
We'll
probably rename all of these. I want to be super clear. I don't think we're going to call them plant mimics, animal mimics, mimic mimics, artisan mimics, arcane mimics, and puppet mimics.
I like calling them mockeries. That's pretty sick.
The mock mimic. Mock mims.
I also like that it kind of sticks to the naming convention we have with nowheres, nobodies, and nothings.
Yeah.
Where it's like mimics, mockeries, I think is really neat. And then our question is just...
Martisans.
I'm sure we'll think of something. I really like the mimic mockery, and then mimesis, primogen of the new mimic. Like, the first to dream of intelligence, I think is really strong. And then maybe I don't think we'll have the time for it. Then the next thing I would come up with are some unique named mimics like mimesis. So the next thing I would do, I think this is a little piece of advice from MCDM's Flea Mortals. If a monster is special enough to go in a special page of the book, do not say the name of the kind of monster it is. Give that motherfucker a name. So I think there are no arcane mimics that you're just going to be like, you see an arcane mimic. It's going to be like, you see Sazerac as he shifts form, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you look it up, and it goes, they refer to it like some kind of arcane mimic. Like, It's
Sazerac the Warhammer. It turns into a Warhammer and swings on you, and you're like, whoa!
Let me write down Sazerac the Warhammer really quick.
There's one other link I was thinking of. And it's after like being able to compress itself, it's like learning to expand, like really expand itself.
Like a gargantuan mimic.
Can I make a pitch that is the last step? And not, I think that after Arcane Mimic, when a mimic gets really old, do they start to lose the ability to control their changes? I like the idea that, like you said, becoming very large. I like the idea that like an ancient mimic will begin to get like the equivalent of mimic dementia, and so we'll try to turn into 20 objects at once and we'll succeed and end up this like roiling mass of trees and homes and chests and bodies and limbs and faces and gold that like drags itself around. I like that idea. It leaves me with the question of why hasn't mimesis turned into one of these things? Is it maybe, what if a mimic fucks it up real bad? Like, what if a mimic does a bad job?
Here's what I'm thinking. The more mass a mimic consumes, the more powerful and intelligent it naturally grows. You eat 1,000 people, you're going to be really strong, and you have to condense yourself down. You're controlling, on a molecular level, your mass. Your mass grows with this consumption. Mimesis gained sentience, and then basically went on like a vegetarian diet. stopped consuming so he wouldn't get so large that he could no longer compress. He ate just enough to keep himself running, and not so much that he balloons out and explodes out of his perfect form.
So our last is the mimic behemoth. Is a mimic that is too... And I like the idea that one of the big things mimesis teaches is do not listen to the hunger. I know that you always crave to eat more. You need to let yourself burn through what you have. Like, you can't just keep consuming and consuming or consuming, or you will... We all know the tale of Oberon. We have all seen him. And there's this, like, lumbering thing.
They open the curtain. He's behind.
Yeah.
He's like,
Oberon can no longer
forest.
think. He can no longer see. He is just meat now. Meat that hungers. It's like a grand threat. I think that's really interesting, and it adds a really fun flavor to mimesis that he is like very much an ascetic, very much somebody that like forgoes pleasures to be stronger and to care for the mimics. It's gonna make it really hard to want to kill mimesis.
Maybe we don't want
you don't need to.
Yeah, I don't think mimesis is a bad guy. I think mimesis is no more a bad guy than human beings who teach young human beings how to hunt is a bad guy. You're like, it's fucked up if I think about it too hard, but I see why you do it.
Yeah, because it's like, where is mimesis putting these mimics that he wants to grow? He's putting them in dungeons and shit, where adventurers go, who signed up for this, by the way. He's not putting them in, like, a town, in an orphanage.
Yeah, not a lot of daycare
exactly.
mimics. Yeah.
Right? Like, he's doing it to people who have signed up for this.
I think a cool story that would come from all this is Oberon the Gargantuan. It's like he ate so much he turned into a vile forest, and it's like everyone knows
There's
that
a
it's
forest that you do not go into.
Yeah, everyone knows something's wrong with that forest. People will die, so no one goes into and it's like the world knows now. Like adventurers go to slay, and they did slay. So
I love this, and I also need to pull back a little bit and say, if I don't remember the full, it was Oberon or whatever.
Can I hit you with? I'm gonna hit you really quick.
Yes.
This is another strong recommendation I have. If you have a name and you think it's juicy, pull over and put it in the notes app of your phone. Like, say it out loud. Take the stab, and if you like the stab, go for it. Can I hit you with Oberic the Vile Arborea?
Yeah, absolutely.
go for it.
Oberic is, he was one of the first ones that mimesis rose up. He went out after gaining his sentience and found one of the arboreal mimics, one of these nature mimics, and hand-fed it, essentially, until it grew to this strength and intelligence, and then it became the second sentient mimic. This mimic forsook all the things that mimesis told him and said, I'm going to eat. This is what I meant to do. I'm going to eat. I'm going to keep growing. And then went back and upon eating more became this forest because it's a nature mimic. If a dungeon mimic did this, it would become something different. It would become a dungeon. So
somewhere out there is this broken, weeping second hand of mimesis who wails for his firstborn that he led astray. That's so good.
So it's just each type of mimic from like the base level, where there's the animal mimic or that they can get to this size, and it will be completely different. A mimic of the water, like creating creatures, will become like a crazy Leviathan creature.
Sea.
Yeah,
God,
like they
Michael
become
putting
things.
up the heat rocks.
Yeah, crazy. And so this is how mimesis knows what happened, is because Oberic did this, and is trying to tell them not to.
Can I? So then you immediately made me want to start jumping off to some interesting. I'm trying to see if this is. The cultivation, management, and study of individual trees, shrubs, vines, and other perennial woody plants is called arboriculture. Can I hit you with plant mimics are arborics?
Yeah.
Okay. What about... Because I like mockeries. Is arboric too fancy? If mockery is our... I liked it, and then I looked at mockery, and I immediately lost faith in it. That it shouldn't be something a little bit
the
more plain.
mockeries didn't start as people mimics. They started as one of these other things, and they became mockeries. That's what humans call them when they start pretending to be humans. They're mockeries of humanity, whatever, sentient life. The arborics, the animal, whatever we don't have a name for, and the dungeon mimics are things that are the base level of evolution. So there'd be an arboric, there'd be like an archaeologic, and there'd be whatever for the animal. We just have to come up with those basics. And then they become things like a mockery or an artisan or whatever, because those aren't so species name.
So mimics, arborics, and the animal mimics, these are the names given to them like as terms of study.
Yes.
And these other things, artisan, arcane, and human mimics, have monster names because they are careful prowlers that hunt people at night. And so they have
all of them started
names.
They all started as an arboric or a mimic or whatever. And now they are these more monstrous things.
So if I was to keep the exact same thing, it would be an animalic, but I kind of just like animic a little better.
Yeah.
Let me Google that really quick and make sure it's not a terrible...
And it's close to anemia.
Is it the same?
No. There's an I instead of an E.
They will share their names with a Swedish dark metal band, which I'm cool with.
Hell yeah.
So I feel like animalic is a little over the top in a way that anemic and arboric sound like cousins. Mm-hmm. And I like that it's anemic. It's an anemic, an arboric, and a mimic.
And a mimic. Mm-hmm.
Why? Because mimics turn into rocks. Mimics turn into a chest. An arboric turns into a plant, a tree, seaweed. An anemic turns into a horse that is beautiful and strange, that you feel the compulsion to ride. Something I really like as a thought. I really like the idea that anemics and arborics were the first. They are the natural version of a mimic. And so I want them to lose something when they go from being an anemic into a mimic. Can I pitch that, because you related it to like Selkies and Kelpies, which I think is really cool, can anemics and arborics like hypnotize you? And that ability is lost as they gain intelligence. Like, there is a raw animal magic that they lose when they gain sentience. Yeah. And that's because, like, the Selkie makes you want to ride it. Why the hell would you ever get on a terrifying black watery horse? There needs to be some kind of, like, wisdom save element for that to make sense to me. And I think that there's something very fun in the, like, gaining sentience has to lose you something. And it loses you this innate draw, this appeal, this like pheromone level come to me goes away. And because they start overthinking it and they turn into a chest of gold, or a door to a secret life. That's so thinky. And I think it's interesting if it's like... not... Yeah.
It's not that the humans don't have a choice when you are still an anemic or, whatever. But they do have a choice when you become more sentient. They choose to pursue that gold. When they see a Selkie, they just get on that shit if they fail it. There's a choice to be had later on.
Now, I would like to, if we were keeping the pattern, then the artisan mimic would just be the artemic, but that's way too close to arboric for me.
Yeah.
So what do we think? Can we think of another way to name these mimics that gain the ability to condense themselves? The other thing I really like about that, Spencer, you said something really interesting earlier that I want to take a moment to put a pin in, which is they increase their density of mass. So I love the idea that an artisan mimic, it does all that other stuff. The main thing it does is it has a strength of 22. Because it can turn into a smaller object by compressing its density down. And so it can make these like unbelievably dense forms. Bob Breezy's back.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thank you so much.
Hey.
Welcome back. We are making a court of mimics, powerful and dynamic in their strength. We are imagining that mimics are part of an ecosystem with, at the head of it, Mimesis, the first mimic to dream of intelligence, who started to teach them. So we have these primordial mimics that turn into animals or plants called arborics and animics that then descend into mimics that can turn into these like condensed objects, mimics that can turn into like loose pantomimes of people, and then mimics that can turn into intelligent, capable people and magic items and all kinds of shit. My players got to the dungeon. I'm thinking I'm going to make it like the Tomb of Horrors for Vecna. Rip to your players. That's going to be... I can't wait for hit us back up with that TPK in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Tell them to bring some backup characters for real.
For real. Michael, what's your thought?
What do you think of the name Minimix?
A minimic?
Because they're mini.
Yeah.
Minimic.
I mean, I don't have anything better, that's for sure.
We can keep on thinking about this stuff too.
As long as we put a pronunciation guide on this supplement that says minimic, not minimic.
Oh,
Minimic.
that's...
As long as we hit that.
Well, I don't want to get too lost in the sauce on this.
No.
Yeah,
I don't
we
think
can
it's as
call it
catchy
all
as Mockery.
No.
Going from Mockery to Minimic seems a little... I don't know. It doesn't feel like as much of an upgrade to make as a jump. I don't know. I'll pencil around in the sort of thesaurus of it all and see if we can't... other words. I'm going to search other words for craft. And we'll figure it out from there. What about arcane mimics? These like hyper intelligent. I know that each of these will be a unique monster with like a unique name. Can we think of anything?
Runix.
Hey, nailed it in one.
Runic is incredible,
Runic.
Especially because it doesn't occur to you until you hear it that Runic sounds like a derivative of mimic.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the thing, is instead of being spelled R-U-N-I-C, Runics in the book are spelled R-U-N-E-I-C.
Yeah.
So if you were to look at it, it would look more like Runaic.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Knack. As a synonym for expertise and skill, like a Minac.
Yeah, knack for it.
I don't think it works really well, but I like the concept of it's like they mimics turn into Minacs, turn into mockeries. But I think it's a little too much. The pondering continues, boys. What about Artific?
I feel like that definitely fits. I wonder how much of the population knows these mimics by these terms, or if this is straight up just what Mimesis wrote down for his own study, and that he refers with the other intelligent mimics to these creatures that everybody else just goes, hey, that's a weird-ass mimic.
So
why is it a sword?
It would be a mimic, an artific, a mockery, and then a runic.
Yeah, I think that like high-level adventurers know because all dungeons they do, but
I think there are scholars of monstrous anatomy that have sourced and figured out these things and like have written them down. And I guess there's a chance, I'm not sure about this, but like, does Mimesis turnabout is fair play? Does Mimesis get angry when people kill a mimic? Or is Mimesis like, we are predators in a system of predators? Then I think that people know these names, and if you trace that back far enough, you will find mimesis in human form at like a soiree, listening to their notes, because mimesis is smart enough to listen for inspiration on how to make new, more dangerous mimics, to like listen to their lecture on biology and be like, and how would you make the teeth stronger to punch through steel?
Perchance.
How would you do that? Be specific. Like,
yeah, I definitely like that.
This probably is a lord, like an actual lord of an area. People know him.
I think mimesis, first of all, is definitely a functional member of society. Second, I think the only time he gets upset about the death of mimics is after they've achieved sentient.
Yeah, well, because then you're killing a friend.
Exactly. You're killing a rare friend at that. Something that's not super common. He's only made, a dozen that we can name.
So let me give, I think then there's sort of two levels to this. I think that killing a runic will make him upset because you have killed somebody that he knew. I think killing a mockery to him is like killing a child.
Yeah.
Is like that.
Because it's so close.
To him, that is where it is like true tragedy. Even though, objectively, it is the most nefarious step in their evolution, is when they are like prowling the streets like proto-vampires. I think, though, he sees it as a cautioned and cared for. So, really, I'm gonna, before I move on to a new note, it's time for us to move on to a new notes page and start drilling down, because we're at the 45-minute mark. But I want to ask one more question first. Do mockeries have like a chaperone? Because they seem so vulnerable. Are they cared for in the immediate? Like, if there is a mockery, is there always a runic within like a mile of it?
I think anytime they discover one, that's their intent, is to send somebody out, probably to get them and bring them somewhere where they can be like hand-fed. So to the level where they can gain intelligence.
So they are planted as mimics, but there are so many that they can't keep track of all of them. So they just keep their ears out. And that's what runics do. Runics aren't like prowling the streets hunting prey. They are constantly going from city to city, moving around, looking for artifacts and mockeries. Artifacts,
and then
to
as soon
be
as
like,
they're one of those,
artifact. I think artifact is like, put a pin in it. Like, hey, there's someone here. We need to keep an eye on them. Because I think some never make it to mockery. I think that they never take that step. And then once they emerge as a mockery, it's go. It's go. Get them out. Because, so that tells me something else that's really interesting. They never do this in captivity. If you bring them back somewhere safe with other mimics, they will never reach mockery stage. They will never learn. So I think that they need to be out in the wild to go from a mimic to an artifact, and then to go from an artifact to a mockery. They have to be
they can do it
out in the world, and then they are retrieved. So that would be really interesting, because that would tell me, like, I love the idea that you're in a city and there's reports that like people have been going missing at night. You see one of these mockeries, you fight it, it gets away. The next night, a local lord calls you for a meeting and is like, I've been told you've been paid, you've been offered 700 gold to deal with the creature. I will offer you 1,400 gold to disregard your previous order and to tell me everything you know. Yeah. And you're left like, what the fuck is this guy's deal? And it's because this artifact is, Karzoris Fifthborn, and is here to collect it. I think is really interesting. Bob Breezy said, I can't wait this weekend TPK. They're all done for.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're done for. If you're making a Tomb of Horrors, they're done.
If they all die, well, I kind of know what to do, but I bet you guys have more experience. So it's really up to your players. If your players are down to have characters die, they just die, man. That's really fun for some people. I love having my characters die in heroic and cool ways. Just make sure they don't die in super stupid ways. Like, don't have somebody trip and break their neck. A really fun secondary, if they're really attached to their characters, that I think is really fun, is I've only done it like once or twice. It's called the Jailbreak, is the name of the like maneuver, and it's the entire party wipes out, and you smash cut to them in purgatory in the astral sea, and it's like, all right, boys, one last job. we're finding our way out of here. If they're a morally bad party, you can do the way more fun version, which is welcome to hell. You're in the 9 hells, try to break out is a really fun like version of that quest you can do if they're down for it. If not, you know, there's like a million options. You can just have them die, you can have them be zombies, you can have them roll up new characters. It's the start of a new campaign, and eventually, this is a huge tip, they run into a like super powerful vampire that is one of their characters that died, that Vecna rose as a vampire to send out as a servant is a really cool way to do that. There's a lot of really fun options. Let yourself kind of loose a little bit if they're gonna die, and try to come up with some exciting stuff for future campaigns if, you know, you're planning to keep playing with the same crew. But
yeah,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Spencer, with your DMing of Strahd, our entire group died in the House of Horror, and you just had Strahd cheekily bring us back to life as the entrance into his area.
Yeah, it introduced Strahd, and it made you guys kind of beholden to Strahd because he brought you back. So when you got the invitation, you were more likely to accept it because he was like, "You owe me this," and I thought that was fun.
Yeah. Let's go back to the mimics. I was gonna say, I think for the mockeries, there's a little bit of a level to it where at first they do need their own like independence to evolve a little bit, and then they're taken. Like there's a brief point where it's like, are they really on the track, or is this their final bit?
But I think that's like they need to eat somebody. And so I think the reason they try to collect them early is so that they can put them out in the woods to eat a deer. And not leave them in a city to draw heat to mimics.
You know what I was thinking about? Mimics historically have been pretty sedentary, like hyper sedentary. They're stuck in a room of a dungeon that they're placed in. I think that could still be true. Like the Animix probably are set in a pond, or a crook in the road, or a overhang of tree. Like that's where they are.
They have a tight hunting radius.
Like they're stuck in that area. They give up some mobility when they become mimics from being Animix and Arborix. So that's another thing they sacrifice. They're really locked in location. The next time they are able to move is when they become mockery. They like stumble out of the hunting ground and into the wide world as fully ambulatory creatures.
And I think that the reason that, because it begs the question, right, why not just leave them in the woods? I think they need to watch people. I think they need to watch humans or elves or dwarves going about their daily lives to slowly learn about intelligence. They need to, because they need to start to develop a theory of mind.
And then they can be taught.
If you ever want to get really deep in the woods, look up like how much of the theory of mind is learned, and it's terrifying. How much of thinking and dreaming comes from being taught what it means to think. There's a fascinating video out there talking about how if you look at the way that ancient Greeks talked about dreams and talked about their thoughts, it's completely different from the way that we do. They would talk about like hearing a voice in their mind that felt completely distinct from their own. And when they would dream, it would almost always be them in the space they were in, seeing something strange. And it almost seems as if we needed to learn that you had a voice in your own head that was you before we could start to think that way. I watched that video and just sat on the floor for an hour and a half like, what do you mean? Yeah, absolutely goofed up my brain. Okay.
one thing Brambles has said, trying to chaperone something that's a mimic would be a nightmare. Why is it being
my
so
God.
quiet? Dang, this is just normal shield.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We
know,
lost the
tavern.
mockery.
For the reason why they wouldn't puppy guard it is it's like there's no point. What you can't keep track of an artifact. Why? They could be a grain of sand. Like they could be a key, they could be a pebble, they could be a stone, they could be a door, they could be a brick. You know, there's a million things an artifact can be. Okay. We are at 56 minutes. It's 8:28, so we have about half an hour left. I want to do a really quick speed run. What challenge rating are number one? What challenge rating are mimics normally, and are mimics in the SRD?
I hope they aren't.
I think they are. I think that mimics are originated from myth.
They are in the D20 SRD for 3.5.
And they are CR2, which is actually a really nice spot for us to build.
So then I think Arborics are weaker. They're CR1. And I would like to pitch that Animics are actually stronger. They're CR3.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, now we got to get into the difficult question. And we have to not overshoot. How much more
20.
dangerous is an artifact from a mimic? Do they get back up to CR3 like an animic, or do they achieve a new height because of how much they can condense their muscle fibers and they are now CR4?
I think they're CR4. I think they get a power spike.
And now
this is so close.
And now mockeries, I think should be, because we don't want them to die fast, I think a mockery is pretty fucking dangerous. I was originally going to say we should just keep going up incrementally and they're CR5. I kind of want a mockery to be CR6. To be like, that's bad.
I like it. I feel like mockeries are also the least aggressive out of all of the creatures so far. They've taken human form because they want to experience this. Want isn't the right word. Biologically, they are driven to experience the world through the eyes of a sentient. So they enter the world.
I was imagining
and they're seeing these things.
I was imagining them a little bit more anglerfish, like eating.
I think that they still do. They're eating.
It's not willful though.
No, it's just they are like they'll sit at the edge of town, staring down the road for 6 hours, and then after 6 hours pass, a wagon will pass by, and they'll jump on the wagon rider and kill him. And then stare back down that road for a while, and then walk into the tavern. It's just...
Yeah.
It's a new sense of reality. That
they're just starting to understand the world. Okay, so do we like a small CR jump or a bigger CR jump? Do we like CR5 or jumping it to CR6?
I like 5 for them, and then the next one be the big jump.
Yeah,
well,
I think I agree.
Okay, now this was my pitch. I think a mockery is either CR5 or CR6. I think a runic is like CR10.
Yeah.
I think it's a
CR5
huge jump.
and then CR10.
Can a runic like... What does a runic fight you with? I'm worried that we have just ruined the game a little bit here. Like, if runics need to be careful, do they have like artifacts and mimics and animics with them? Because the point of this, right, is that you never want to fight a monster alone in D&D. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So, does a runic have like a big wolfhound that is an animic that just won't, like, if you don't catch animics young enough, can they not learn? And so they become pets.
I think that's cool.
Sure.
And they'd probably consider them as like honored family member. But...
So I'm gonna jump runic down to CR8 then.
So that way we can pad it with
that way you can use them
helpers. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that the CR5 for mockeries means you'll run into a mockery. Now, when does so are mockeries like a solo monster?
Mockeries are solo monsters because you're not really supposed to kill them.
Yeah. So when I say solo monster, what I mean is it's a monster that you want to be able to do more shit per round than it should be able to do. Villain actions from MCDM is a really great way to do this. I think that they have an open license on that, so you don't need to be super stressed about that. Layer actions and legendary actions are a very similar system. I do think legendary saves are stupid beyond belief and that you shouldn't use them unless they have a huge drawback. Like they should give them disadvantage on their next save or something if you're going to include something like that. It's a really bratty mechanic. I'm not into it. So Arboric CR1, Animic CR3, Mimic CR2, Artifix CR4, Mockery CR5 solo monster. It's doing a bunch of terrifying shit. Runic CR8. I'm going to write like solo / I think more of a leader. They can command Animics and Arborics to do things. And I think that what we've discovered about them that's incredibly cool, a Runic gives an Animic the ability to leave its hunting grounds.
Yeah, that's sick.
So if a Runic just walks down the road, looks over and sees a black dog, like a harbinger of bad luck, and like slowly kneels by the side of the road, and the dog, you see, like, puts a paw past where it's ever been able to go before, and then, like, trots up to it and can follow it out.
I hit you with a potential magic item acquisition?
Yeah.
It works because the Runics have such a deep understanding of how this all works. Obviously they do. They've experienced it. There's, like, tiny fragments of the shell that mimics grow from that, if found, can be carried, and if you are holding it, you are now the proximity of the hunting ground. So the Runic goes to this area with the black dog, finds the black dog's eggshell, takes it, and now has this item that gives a perimeter of 500 meters.
Oh, that's fun. It's like a little reliquary of the creature that gives it an extension. That's really cool.
I think the idea of a Runic that has a garden of Arborics is kind of fun.
Oh, gotta write that. Okay.
Yeah.
Magic item, shell piece, hunt range, and then absolutely gonna write unique gardener Arboric.
Everyone say hi to Easy Tribite.
Yo, what up, Easy?
Quite the name.
Yeah, Easy said, "What's up? What's going on here?" Ethan, if you want to give a quick little rundown.
We are we're doing what we call like monster mashes or monster menageries. We take a monster and we try to factor it out and make an entire little cosm of monsters so that way you're not just fighting like a CR2 mimic. Instead, you're fighting like the whole food chain. So we've decided that mimics are the result of this thing called mimesis that was the first mimic to dream of intelligence. So there are Arborics and Animics, which are mimics that turn into animals and plants. They are the like primordial version of these things. Mimics turn into objects, and then they can eventually turn into Artifix, which turn into objects. Mockeries, which can almost turn into a person, and then Runics, which are fully intelligent, cognizant. They turn into people. They can turn into like magic items to either lure people in or to politic with them. And Runics try to keep Mockeries and Artifix safe so that they can grow and become other Runics, because there's not that many. And we're about to hit Behemoths. Our last idea that we just said, which I really like, is that there is an Arboric who's unique, and it is a gardener. You know, there's this like large, beautiful garden in a private estate that no one is allowed to visit, and herbalists all over the city drool to be allowed inside. And, you know, maybe you are hired to break in, only to discover that it is a entire garden of predatory plants that you are now stuck in, I think is really cool. So I have a question that has naturally come up from Michael describing this, like, unique Arboric. I was going to say that Runics are CR8. Do Runics have a set CR? Or are they each unique and their CR is 8 to 12.
I think they're each unique, and their CR is 8 to 12.
Easy said. So you have Master Monster and trickle down from there.
Yeah.
Essentially, if he's right. Are you doing that for all monsters? For all monsters.
Each stream we do something new. So sometimes
Yeah.
we do monster mashes, sometimes we come up with dungeons, sometimes we come up with one-page RPGs, sometimes we spend like 2 months coming up with an entire world. We jump all over the place. Our goal is just to make things live in front of an audience so that you can see our process and chime in with your own thoughts. Just to like if you'll catch the opening of our show, to demystify the DMing process. Because I feel like so many people are like, how does anyone do this? And the answer is I hallucinate in my car, I come up with 12 bad ideas and 2 good ones, and then I write down the 2 good ones. And so we just kind of wanted to do that live.
So
all right, one more and then we got to move on.
Yeah, yes. I said, so the infamous Thessal Hydra, how would that even work? I don't know what Thessal Hydra is.
Thessal Hydra's the from the Stranger Things tie-in. So I know nothing about it, unfortunately.
We'll look into
Yeah,
it.
an 8-headed Hydra. Unfortunately, the easy answer is you break it down into a 7-headed Hydra, a 6-headed Hydra, a 5-headed Hydra, and you
Yeah,
give
for-
each of them unique abilities.
Yeah,
but-
for me it would be like it would be a very powerful Hydra that is the sort of, Karanaxi's firstborn of the many heads or something. And then the spawn, which are powerful, sort of Thessal Hydra level, like, oh, stronger than a Hydra. And then Hydras. And then I would steal from Spencer, what's your favorite FromSoft game?
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, I would steal Swamp Hydras, which are like the little snake bundles. And that's
Hate those
yeah, they're
things.
that's how I would do that. I would just, find the breakdown to get to the wimpy version. So, if runics are unique and they're all between CR8 and CR12, what CR is a behemoth? I'm tempted to say, I don't know if I should say CR15 or CR20.
See, 15 was where my head went.
But we haven't made
15
one
is where
for
my head went too, but we made a whole forest. Is the
my
thing
my,
for
my
this
question
first one.
is my Mises CR15 and behemoths are CR20?
Yeah.
Does even
I
my
think that's
Mises
the right
fear
move.
behemoths? Because there's got to be a reason that they haven't just gone out and killed the Vile Arborea, that they haven't just gone out and dealt with that thing yet.
Yeah.
And the answer is, how the fuck? Is we would need to get a red dragon to burn it down, and I don't have any red dragons on speed dial. I'm just a guy, I think is the answer.
How many
Yeah.
of these have we made? How many gargantuans are there? Because we've got the Vile
We got the
Arborea,
sea, we got the
the
forest.
Dead Sea.
Yeah, so we have the Dead
Um,
Sea, the Vile Arborea, and then I think that the Living Manor, we should have one that is an entire estate.
The Living Manor would be good. A cool idea. It's a little weird. A storm.
Oh, yeah.
That's really it suggests that to me that a runic tried to do something and fucked it up.
The
Yeah.
Hungering Storm. It tried to give itself lichdom. It's like, okay, now you're a bunch of clouds. Sorry, brother.
I'm gonna give the Hungering Storm a little star and a lichdom. I like that we have a bunch of CR21s and then the Hungering Storm, which is CR25.
True.
Where it's like,
No one goes there.
I think the Hungering Storm is imprisoned in a gem.
It's
And
locked up.
I think
Yeah.
if you go to wherever my Mises keeps these things, wherever my Mises is taking these things, I think the Hungering Storm is imprisoned in a ruby in the deep vaults beneath his castle.
There's only tales of this one.
We talked about the mockeries then consuming enough and learning that theory of mind to become human-esque. I think that the Hungering Storm probably just was one of these natural mimics. 8 and 8 and 8 and 8 and 8. He was just in a location that let him grow incredibly powerful and never developed that theory of mind. It just kept eating, and it never gained sentience. And then it became this thing, and then it was locked away.
I have a pitch that I am in love with, which is that the Oberic thing. I'm gonna twist Oberic, who accidentally made the vial Arborea. Can Oberic have been Mimesis' first attempt to make a mimic like him, and Oberic became the Hungering Storm? The first time Mimesis did this, he fucked it up. And he made the Hungering Storm. And so there are legends of this storm that would consume all that it, like when the rain would touch people, they would start to like atrophy and turn to zombies. And so basically the first time Mimesis gained sentience, he was like, I did this by eating all of these adventurers, and just started like feeding people to a mimic en masse, started like tricking people, was basically like a highwayman, and eventually killed like an archmage, and was like, I can make something smarter than myself, something even more like, and fed this archmage to it and made the Hungering Storm. And what I really like about that thought is the level 20 adventure is Mimesis arrives in a city. He's like hunched with a cane, and his face is constantly shifting between different faces. Like, he is so ancient now that his form is so completely like fluid. And he's like, I've long waited for this day. Somebody has broken into my home. They have stolen the storm. I need your help. Like, it's ultimate.
Oh!
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're in a campaign where they've met Mimesis a few times. Mimesis shows up at midnight bloodied and is like, it has finally passed. That which I have feared all the long days of my life. Thousands of years I have dreaded this day. All right, super, super duper cool. Okay, so super speed run, because we only have 15 minutes on the board. Arborix. Big thing, wisdom save or lure. And then is it just they grab you and do acid damage?
Yeah.
Okay.
You get restrained and you get burned for as long as you're restrained.
Animix, wisdom save. So I think Arborix, it's wisdom save or just they lure you. You just walk towards them. And so that can be stopped by somebody literally like slapping you or grabbing you and just stopping you. I don't think you fight to move towards it. I think you just start walking towards it.
And it's why you don't walk through the woods alone.
Yeah. Animix, wisdom save or you are charmed. You want to get to it. If people stop you, you try to get away. You try to push them off and be like, wait, no.
That puppy needs me.
And then I think
meanwhile, it's a messed up dog.
I think Animix try to like drown you. They try to use the environment to their advantage. They try to lead you to a cliff. They try to use the environment. I'm gonna write trick /drown/cliff, and I think future me will know what I mean.
I would say thank you to Easy for following. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Normal mimics, we know what they do. They are smart enough to know that they should be sticky. Well, mimics stick. When you grab a mimic, you're stuck to it. You have to like pull yourself off. So I love the idea that intelligence loses them the ability to charm creatures, but the first thing they learn is be adhesive. Why? Then you don't need to lure them to a waterfall. You can just stick them to you and then chew them. Like,
I look just like a treasure chest, except that treasure chest is covered in glue.
So it's just stick save and then teeth. I think mimics are like fetuses. They are truly undeveloped. They are the very first step of these creations. What about an artifact? They can turn into these like more careful creations. I'm gonna say I'm gonna write just true combat. Fighting a mimic is just get away from it, don't get bit. Fighting an artifact, I think, is fighting.
I also think that artifacts will hide what they are until they're in an advantageous position. So, like, it's a cool sword, the fighter picks up the sword and sheathes it, and then they get through the dungeon, they're beat the hell up, and then that sword pops out and starts attacking them in full mimic form.
So they go from stick save to stealth. They are trying to outmaneuver you and be very careful. And then
it waits until they're on a short rest or a long rest.
And they have the benefit over the mimics where they can choose to be adhesive or not. Like they can they are beginning to leverage things for power in a way that the others just can't. And I think artifacts usually are just like, I think it's like ducklings. I think when you run into a mimic, sometimes they're alone. I think artifacts start to group up. Like you might run into an artifact by itself. An artifact is probably part of a hive. So the artifact on the table is probably next to a mimic that is the chair.
That is the table?
Yeah, it's like a gold coin on a table. And when you go to pick up the gold coin, your hand sticks to the table and you're like, help me, brothers. It is a mimic. They run up and then the gold coin shoots like a needle at one of their faces. Okay. Mockeries. It's obviously also stealth-based, but they seem to also be, like, persuading, deceiving.
Yeah. It's really doing everything the previous ones did, and also looks like a dude, and is, physically more powerful.
Or a child, or something that, like, you want to help her do something about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these things can make actual combat, and I'm imagining that they are like... What I want to write down for them is they are true grapplers. Like, I think they have the pin mechanic, where it's like, step 1, get them into a grapple. Step 2, pin them, they are restrained. And it's like, oh, no. Like, it's like, oh, this is really... So... When you're building monsters, this is a big recommendation. You want to think about what they're doing. I think that artifacts can just do normal combat and are stealthy. That makes them dangerous enough. I think they have sneak attack, and that's always risky to give a monster. I think mockeries have like action, attack, grapple, bonus action, pin, restrain, and then on their next turn, they have a special action attack they can only do to pinned creatures that is awful. That does like twice as much damage as everything else. That's a really good tip for monster design, is always give them something that's going to take 2 turns to go off. Because it forces the party to not just hack at it with a club and axes, and instead to be like, oh shit, we need to get Mike away. Because it turns into like, oh, the purple worm grabs you in its mouth, and then on the next turn, it can swallow you. And normally it's like, it bites and then it swallows you. I think that's lame. It should always be like bite, grapple, and then everybody goes, oh, all right, just be careful. And then it gulp, and they're like, we did a bad job. We did a bad job. we fucked this.
The other thing I'm thinking of for the mockery is sort of an Ultra Instinct style shape change, where it can cycle through forms a la Druid. It's like, oh, the Druid wild shapes into a bear and now has 100 HP. The Mockery can do the same thing.
That's
probably
so
not
scary.
quite as powerfully. It just goes whoop, and it changes.
So like, as it's one of its villain actions, it can do every round, is it can gain a number of temporary HP and adopt a new form.
Yep.
Sucks. Love it.
Yeah.
It gains 4d8 temp HP and changes forms to something else. And so it's just like, what the fuck? Because what I love is you start to be like, how do we kill this thing? And the answer is lead it away from people. Like, it's genuinely hard to kill. And I think that that's good. Because I think any of these combats, you should be like, hey, if combat starts with a mockery, behind the board, roll a d6. That's how many rounds you have until a runic arrives.
Yep.
And when that happens, the party watches as this runic like starts whipping like a whistle on the end of a string over its head, and the mockery like loses focus and starts looking at the string, and you're like, what the fuck is this fucking guy? And then I don't think I'm writing abilities for runics. I think it's unique.
Yep.
I think
those
it's
are just
one...
dudes.
Yeah.
Those are guys.
And my monster design brain would say we would make, this would take forever. Maybe we'll do this behind the scenes for fun someday. You would make a CR 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I think maybe there's only like 5.
Yeah.
However many you make, that's how many there are. I would say, in my instinct would be, because these things are all across the globe, I would say there's like 20, maybe 30. There are 5 on the continent you're on that you will ever meet. Yeah. And those 5 are these like very... One of them is the gardener, another... So it's like the gardener, the pack lord, and it's the one with all the hounds. There's another that is the caretaker. There's this like old abandoned university, and it is a sleeping behemoth that this runic has somehow managed to just calm into sleep. And he constantly like goes and manicures the grounds, and what he's actually doing is constantly like casting spells to keep it asleep and comfortable. Is my immediate instinct, because they're like, it's a monster, you should go kill it. And no matter what, when you kill a runic, you are unleashing whatever they are protecting on the world, because they are not monsters, they are guardians, just not of humanity or elfdom.
Lore pitch for the caretaker, casting these spells, keeping it subjected to this hypnosis essentially, at the same time is pruning away map. It's cutting roots of trees, breaking stones of walls to see if they can revert a gargantuan back to an intelligent, reasonable form.
I really
like
that.
That's the secret mission.
And I like that
really cool.
Like mimesis is and the caretaker is oh no wait, we got rid of it. We said Oberic was the Hungering Storm. I was gonna say the caretaker is that first one. You know what I mean? My DM shithead instinct would be for all of the runics you meet to tell you about mimesis. To say like mimesis is the best of us. He is like the lord of our people. He cares for us and watches over us. If you ever meet him, don't try and fight him, you'll die. But more importantly, ask him if he needs help. You know? And then you learn after, Dread Pirate Robert style, that the caretaker is mimesis.
Yeah.
And the caretaker has been endlessly experimenting to see if he can save these others so that someday he will go into the gem and try to save Oberic. Sick. If he can prove that it can work. Really fun. Okay. And then behemoths. Like, what the fuck does a behemoth even do? And how does the whole forest pick up? Or is it like a deadly environment that you are encountering? Like, is it a
deadly environment?
Yeah.
And the Vile Arborea is full of mimic. When you become a gargantuan, I think you start spawning more and more and more of them. So there's a consistent supply of new mimics that Mimesis can grab from outside the Vile Arborea. But if he doesn't grab them from outside, they just populate the forest. So you walk in, it's dangerous just atmospherically, environmentally, and you're going to get attacked by a bunch of animic.
And every round, a layer action is going off. That is, you know,
like
the
grabbing
ground
you.
Tries to eat one of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will ask, like, I think the Hungering Storm is a fight. I just think it's a basically impossible fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that even... Do we have any big... Is the Hungering Storm just a lore item? Is it just, like, an incredible storm of necromantic energy that tried to consume the world once?
I mean, there's probably ways to get it out. You just shouldn't.
Like, I think that it would be... If I was designing the fight as a GM... You would approach the outer circle. It would look like a hurricane, because those are dynamic and cool looking. And, like, making your way through, it would be harmful environment. And then eventually you would fight Oberic, Heart of the Storm.
Yeah. And I think that the win state is you defeat him, and you take that tiny bit of shell, and you like destroy it inside of the crystal.
The fight is
the final destruction.
Yeah, the fight, it could be the heart of the storm or the eye of the storm. It is the calm there. He is intelligent. It's just he has insane hunger to eat the world.
Yeah, you know, I love the
clarity.
I love the mental image of being like, you make a discovery that maybe mimesis doesn't even know. Like, mimesis understood this and maybe has tried to describe it to you. This is a hyper intelligent being who can only think of hunger. So it's worse because the vile Arboreus doesn't think anymore. It is a big predator. This is a powerful mind bent exclusively to hunger. It does nothing else. It thinks of nothing else. It ponders nothing else. It spends all day and all night thinking of its hunger. And that also tells me what group of assholes are trying to steal the gem. And it's Yanaug, the demon prince of hunger's children, are constantly trying to steal the gem that holds the hungering storm, because they hear, to them it's like a prayer wheel that has been grinding out prayers of hunger for millennia, and Yanaug has been hearing them all along and like fighting for it. I think is really cool. Just a water wheel for prayers for hunger. Huge shout out to the Living Manor, the Dead Sea, and the Vile Arborea, putting up absolute heat rocks today, boys. With that, it is 9 o'clock, and I think we have absolutely slam dunked a really fun Mimic Court.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say bare minimum canon in Prospect. Like,
yeah.
It's canon in Prospect, and the Hungering Storm is in one of the bastions of the Deathwoken, and is powering a fucking toaster. Like, something really stupid. Yeah, Mimesis, Primogen of Mimics. This, like, or not even, I don't think it would be Primogen anymore. Like, I think it would be Father of Mimics, like caretaker. Yeah. Not even, like, it's translated as father, but it is the equivalent of a Sanskrit word for caretaker, protector, watcher, that I think is really strong. Wow. Gentlemen, what a tour de force performance. All right. If you're watching this right now, thank you so much for sticking with us. If you're watching it in the future, look at you busy bee, taking time out of your day to watch us. I know that the stream is at an odd time. Thank you for tuning in whenever you are. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching DM Writer's Room, a show where we demystify the DMing process by coming up with monsters, magic items, and all kinds of things live. We never really delve into the math on here. If someday we have 2 million subscribers and they all ask very politely, I will break down how we do math, and it will be the most boring 3-hour stream you will ever watch in your entire life. My main recommendation is pick an equivalent CR monster and use its stats as a base. My second thing is start to learn about average damage at level per round and AC and likelihood of hit per round. I know it's going to seem really annoying. It's a good thing to learn at some point if you want to homebrew effectively.
My third thing, play lots and lots and lots of D&D.
Just so many games.
Just sort of get an innate sense for how much damage monsters do at each level and what you can expect them to do in a round.
Yeah.
And that sort of gets you 90% of the way there.
Yeah.
And if I can add a fourth thing, watch us. Just watch us a lot.
Watch us. Like, I'll give you a big one right now for those of you who decided to stick around. Like, a really simple way is when you think about the AC of a monster you're making, take the to-hit bonus of the average of the melee fighters in your the people who are rolling to hit bonuses in your party. Take the average, add it to 10. If you make it that, they will hit 50% of the time. If you increase it by 2, they'll hit 40% of the time, and the monster will seem heavily armored and scary. If you make it 2 less than that, they'll hit 60-ish% of the time, and it'll make the monster feel like a berserker that is not hard to hit, but that is just up in their face. And then you can start to take it to extremes if you want to do something fun. If you make it like 4 or 5 higher, then it's like, oh no, like we have to run, we need to trip it. You make it save! Roll deck saves! It's a hopeless prospect! Or if you make the CR like 4 lower, then it has 400 HP.
Which I love.
And is just a blood bag that they are like having to deal with. I recommend a balance. You should have some higher CR and some higher AC and some lower AC creatures. And then health, we don't have time to get into. That would be my next big thing, but we just don't have time. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you on the next one. Really important heads up about scheduling in the not too distant future. Due to some conflicts, there will not be DM Writer's Room on the 10th or the 17th. One of us got screwed over by work in a very unfortunate way. So you will not be seeing us back until the 24th. So I guess you have to just go back and watch our old streams.
You gotta go to the YouTube channel. You gotta subscribe, watch all the old live streams, and watch all of our long form and short form video content where we go into interesting lore in D&D. We talk about the history of different TTRPGs. We talk about spotlighting RPGs that are not D&D or Pathfinder, so you get experience in other systems. We got a lot of stuff going on, and I think they're very well produced.
And watch, like, and comment on our video about the Zentarum. And if when you heard that just now, you went, I think you mean Zentarum. Hey, we're researchers. Go listen to Ed Greenwood, the guy who came up with them, say it. He says Zentarum. That's how it's pronounced. I know Baldur's Gate 3 threw us all for a loop. They're the Zentarum, man. I don't know what to tell you.
We all have graduate degrees, and we've written theses, and we've done a lot of dramaturgy. We're not just putting videos out without researching it. I looked up the video, and he said Zentarum 87 times.
And by the way,
it wasn't a fluke. It's Zentarum.
An unrelated thing. If you ever want to feel like you don't do enough world building work at all, go watch an Ed Greenwood video.
It's crazy.
My man thinks about every stone of every building. It is truly unhinged. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please go back, watch anything that you didn't see here, and check out our videos. Check us out on TikTok. Take the wander, enjoy the content. We can't wait to show you more. Thank you so much for watching. Stay foolish.